Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Madam Deputy Speaker, I am sadly fully aware that it is my constituency that holds potentially the largest matryoshka doll of Russian-owned investment in the UK. Dirty money, in particular, is an issue with deep Kremlin-linked roots. And as the Member of Parliament representing the Cities of London and Westminster, I do support this government's objectives to cut the financial and professional arteries to the Kremlin. Clearly, one of the biggest barriers in tackling money laundering has been the inability to track funds overseas. The bill undoubtedly raises the bar for transparency globally and may also provide and prove to be a watershed for global economic crime enforcement, given the increase in international collaboration between law and enforcement agencies across the world. Madam Deputy Speaker, broadly speaking, the register of the beneficiaries of overseas entities is most welcome. However, like others in this place, I would like to see a shorter time frame for implementation for the register. On this note, I welcome amendments that see the register updated annually and others that work to fortify our long-term defences against illicit finances. Of course, I would like to see the government go as far as possible and consider even strengthening our compulsory purchase order laws to allow local authorities to be able to sell long-term empty properties which do not comply with the proposed new register. Indeed, I'm sure council leaders in Surrey and central London would not argue if they were allowed to sell one or two 10 million plus properties and invest the proceeds in building more affordable homes. Equally, I think we must ensure that the buyers, conveyancing solicitors and estate agents play their part when involved in sales of prime properties within the register.
Thank you for giving way. I welcome this bill, but I also share desires to look very, very carefully at the enforcement issues that we've seen dog previous legislation. But as you represent, as though my honourable friend represents such a multicultural constituency, does she agree with me that it's really important that we are careful about the anti-Russian message against all Russians and comments about Russians being made to go home because the law-abiding citizens that live here should be made welcome and continue to be so?
I completely agree with my honourable friend, and we must remember that there are many Russians living in this country because of Putin and have escaped his clutches. Going back to the register, I would welcome the Minister's thoughts on whether the law could actually be introduced that on day one of the register coming into effect, that nobody can sell a property that may be on the register. Not talking about 6 months ahead, but on the day that this law comes into law, that nobody can sell unless it's been registered. And I think that would then close the loophole of this 6 months issue. I think, in a similar vein, strengthening the use of unexplained wealth orders will be a valuable tool in our arsenal. I spoke with Charles Begley, the Chief Executive of the London Property Alliance, at length on this issue. We know that billions are settled in Westminster property alone, again, most under shell companies. Very few of them are ever lived in, and I've lost count of the number of times I've knocked on doors when canvassing in Belgravia, in Mayfair, in Knightsbridge and other places, and have been met by housekeepers who tell me that sir or madam don't live here very often. So I'm sure that I'm relieved to see that this bill will encompass property, land and tied together with reasonable retrospective clauses and formally recognises complex ownership structures such as properties held in trust. All of this will create a potentially significant compliance burden for relevant entities, with breaches causing serious criminal liability. I do hope, Madam Deputy Speaker, that this bill, soon to be an act, means London Grad is finished. The severity of these sanctions is the beginning of a new London. Right now, oligarchs enjoy the grandest of lifestyles money can buy. They shop in Selfridges, on New Bond Street, they eat in the Michelin restaurants in Mayfair, They easily move money through shell companies, and their children benefit from being privately educated in the UK's world-renowned public schools. No doubt this bill, and the next one to follow, is the first step in cleaning up dirty money in our capital once and for all, and I commend this bill. Thank you.